Hello. This has been less of a crazy week. I hope I hope you had a good week. The big news this week, just to get right into it, it's fairly personal news, but I also think it's important community news. You know me. I'm not so self-centered. I need to focus on personal news, but this one had ramifications and ripple effects throughout the community. And so I think it's important for you to be tracking on because I am so incredibly psyched about what this means for the consumer products community in Oregon going forward. Big news this week, Built Oregon, we were able to name a new executive director. So, for those of you who haven't been really following along at home, let me catch you up. Built Oregon, if you're not familiar, is a decade-old nonprofit designed to celebrate and support founders in the consumer products industry. So, very much akin to like a TAO, Technology Association of Oregon, which deals from, everybody from the Intels of the world down through the earliest stage tech startup. That is kind of the same ethos of Built. So dealing with the Nikes and the Tillamook's and the Columbias and the Reesers and all those gigantic consumer product brands in Oregon, all the way down through the newest farmers market consumer product brand and people who have dreams of building a consumer product here in Oregon. So that's what Built focuses on. Mitch Doherty and I and Terry Starbucker founded it a decade ago. It's been a while. And it originally started as a digital magazine. And we were really interested in the storytelling. We wanted to tell the stories of the consumer products people in Oregon because Mitch, this was really his whole thing, his whole vision, his belief, which he has communicated any number of times, is that Oregon is the Bay Area, is the Silicon Valley of consumer products. We have so many talented people, so many amazing brands, so many innovative ways of exploring consumer products that there's just a lot of potential here and a lot of knowledge here that can be leveraged to create really amazing businesses. And he and I, way back in the day, before founding Built Oregon, he and I used to butt heads because I was more young and spry, and I used to be really optimistic about the tech community in Portland. I'm still optimistic about the tech community in Portland. It's just I may have been a little much back then. I wasn't as tempered in my opinions and my voicing of those opinions. And Mitch, in his youth, was very similar, but about the consumer products industry. And so we were both he is like the chair of Oregon Entrepreneurs Network at that point. I think it had morphed from Oregon Entrepreneurs Forum to Oregon Entrepreneurs Network, so from OEF to OEN. But whatever the case, I was on the board of OEN. He was the chair. And we would kind of constantly come into these arguments where, I'd be pushing for tech, and he'd be like, yeah, but what about consumer products? And I'd be like, yeah, but what about tech? And anyway, as is common in many of those situations, through that friction, we found common ground and collaboration. And honestly, it's been an amazing experience working with Mitch to build Built Oregon over the past 10 years. Started as a digital magazine, kind of morphed into this nonprofit, added an accelerator program and Bridges, which is a really cool program, and all these things and stuff. And we built a lot of stuff, and a lot of stuff seemed to be working. And I'm kind of talking out of school here, but I'm sure the Built folks will forgive me. I mean, I am a co-founder of Built, so I have a little liberty to talk out of school. But we did get to a point where even while Mitch was still there, we said, you know, maybe we need kind of an executive director to work on more of the business of the nonprofit and the funding of the nonprofit to really free up time for Mitch to do what he consistently excels at, which is engaging with people, engaging with brands, helping founders, helping them feel heard, helping them with their mental health, just being there and recognizing the trials and tribulations that a consumer products founder experiences. And so we'd already been kind of talking about that. And there was already some planning in place. Not a lot of activity, but a lot of talk and a lot of planning. And then, sorry if this was remedial for a lot of you, but I think it's important history. And then turns out Prosper Portland starts this new Office of Small Business for the city of Portland. And people are like, wait, Office of Small Business? You should have had that for like the past 30 years. Yeah, we know. But they just started it, needed somebody to lead it. Mitch was the perfect person to do it. And so he and I talked about it. We went to the board with it. We're just like, look, he's got this opportunity. He needs to take it. And they're like, cool, then Rick, you run the organization. And I'm like, whoa. I'm not the guy to run Built Oregon. That is, I am great behind the scenes, but I'm not the person to run the organization. And so we kind of stepped up that executive director search. Started doing the work, starting to figure out what's going on, and all of a sudden we wound up with this opportunity where someone who had been part of the Built board and management of the organization wound up with some bandwidth and was super interested in engaging with Built more deeply. And so we were kind of like, hey, why don't you be the executive director? If you want to help Built so badly, why don't you step in and lead this organization? And luckily, Catherine Reinhold called our bluff and took us up on that. Former Adidas innovation lead, and was really impactful on Built stuff. So that was cool, but like really looking for a new challenge and really had a good understanding of the work Built does and both our our blemishes and flaws as well as our opportunities, and she was willing to step in to the executive director role. So we moved quickly on that, and I am proud to announce that this week Catherine Reinhold is now the new executive director of Built Oregon. So if you haven't had the chance to meet her, you're in the consumer product space, please take the opportunity to connect with Catherine. I mean, take my word for it. She's great. She's great. She's going to do great stuff. But more importantly than her being great is the fact that Mitch and I are startup people. Like, we like to try things. We like to start things. We like to do a lot of things. Not all those things necessarily work. Not all those things necessarily work at scale. But I think what Catherine will bring to Built is an ability to assess all of these things we've tried to do and really recognize what is working so that she can not only kind of simplify the offerings from Built, but also optimize them. Like, I think we've done, and it's not really me, I'm just kind of behind the scenes. I think Mitch and Shauna Noah, who helps manage all of our programs and really added a whole new layer of structure and capability to our organization. I think what they've done is tried a bunch of really interesting things. Sometimes they're kind of Portland focused, sometimes they're more statewide. I think what Catherine is going to bring to the organization is the ability to assess all of that stuff, to say, this is what we do well, this is stuff that was fun to try, but we need to kind of put that on the back burner right now and not deal with that. But, this is the core of what Built has the ability to do effectively. And we need to double down and focus on optimizing that activity and hopefully scaling it statewide. So she's still getting her bearings. She knows Built well, but like stepping into that kind of role takes a little getting up to speed time. So please give her some grace as she learns the ropes and as Mitch and I download a decade's worth of institutional knowledge into her head, or more preferably into documentation so that anybody can access it. But anyway, super psyched to have Catherine on board as the executive director. And a good reception from the community. I mean, not only, friends and family and colleagues texting Catherine and Mitch and me about how this is so great and that's awesome and blah, blah, blah. It was kind of blowing up on LinkedIn. Our friends at, the Oregonian felt it was newsworthy. They took a few minutes to chat with us and cover it. The Portland Business Journal wrote a very complimentary piece, like highlighting that Catherine was hired, and they shared it in their newsletters and that kind of thing. So all in all, a very, very good week for Built Oregon. For me personally, a very, very good week because I was the interim director, and as I said, I'm not that guy. That's not me. I'm not the executive director of Built, and nor do I have to be any longer because we have Catherine there. I will remain on as an advisor. Mitch remains involved as the chair of the board, but this is really about looking to the next version, the next phase, the next era of Built Oregon, and I honestly cannot wait to see where it goes from here. So if you are in the consumer products industry, if you have interest in consumer products, if you're thinking about starting a consumer product, please engage with us at Built Oregon. We would love to support you, and I know Catherine would love to connect with you. So congratulations to Catherine on this new role. Congratulations to me on getting to change my LinkedIn profile and my email signature, so I'm not the interim director anymore. And congratulations to the amazing and awesome consumer products community here in Oregon, which only stands to benefit from Catherine being at the helm of Built Oregon. If you're familiar with Built Oregon and maybe Pi, you know that one of our long-term partners, like someone we've supported, an organization we've tried to help and volunteer for and celebrate, is Pitch Black. And Pitch Black was started by Stephen Green originally as just a pitch competition, really a way for Black founders to tell their stories, to amplify their businesses, and really give them more limelight and credit for what they were building here in Portland. It was experiencing like this, we could be more. We could be doing things. We could be trying other things. And last week, and I'll link it up, I told you about, they took the pitch format and they kind of tweaked it to be a food competition where chefs created dishes and like told stories about the dishes they had created. And like we had a big dinner and it was amazing. And like, it's hard to believe it was just a week ago because it's like still so like such a thing, like the community's still resonating from that experience. So all credit to the people who helped pull off Pitch Black food. But the same week, and I didn't want to talk about it, I didn't want to promote it because I wanted Pitch Black food to have space. I wanted it to have space to like have the limelight and have people celebrate it and really have energy behind Pitch Black food. But some other very important things happened last week as well that I wanted to highlight for you this week. First and foremost, Pitch Black had an entire like renewed identity system, like cohesive identity system. Like there was a logo that was recognizable, logo type in its history. But this, like, they really took the time to build a cohesive identity system. So when you see an element of pitch black, you recognize it as pitch black. So that has been launched. Pitch black food was really the first part of it. But now there's an entirely new website focused around that identity system, and a kind of a landing page, which is not a landing page for like a once a year event. It's now a landing page for the pitch black community that they support. So that's super interesting. New identity system, new website. But the one that's super compelling to me, only because I flip Steven's shit about it all the time, because he always talks about starting a podcast. And I'm like, so when's that podcast coming out? Well, the answer is now. Episode 1 of the Pitch Black podcast, hosted by Stephen Green, is now available. And he's got, like, I've talked to him about it. He's probably got like a bunch in the can, but he's already got like 15 or 20 episodes already planned out. So the Pitch Black podcast is a thing. I will link it up. They're sharing stuff on social, but I believe the actual show is an audio show on both Spotify and Apple Podcasts. I about said iTunes. I don't even think iTunes is a thing anymore. That's how old I am. But there's a new podcast. Please subscribe and like the Pitch Black podcast and listen to it. I know they have a lot of interesting guests signed up. The inaugural guest was Ciara Pressler from Pregame here in town. Really short episodes. It's like a 10-minute episode, 10-ish minutes, but really good insights into, the community here in Portland, into what Steven's doing, what Pitch Black is doing, what Vanport is doing, what other Black folks are experiencing in the community, what the potential of Portland and this Black community, what the potential of the Black community in Portland has in store for it. It's just really a really interesting topic and some really interesting guests I know he has lined up. So if you are a podcast fan, why are you listening to this? Sorry. If you are a podcast fan, Pitch Black podcast, way better than this, way better than what you are subjecting yourself to right now. So maybe go subscribe to that. I'll definitely link it up so you have all those things. But please keep an eye on Pitch Black. It's not just a once a year event now. More stuff going on, more exciting things, and you just kind of need to keep track of what's going on in the Pitch Black community. Speaking of community, the community last month for Black History Month was doing a lot of things and stuff, and we had a gathering of fireside chats for talking with Black founders about where are they now. March is Women's History Month, and so I wanted to remind you that while it's close to being sold out, we are hosting an event on March 11th to celebrate women founders for Women's History Month by having fireside chats with them about just their journeys. And not only their journeys, but one aspect that came out of the Pitch Black conversation, one of our fantastic community members who kind of helped close out the show, Paige Hendricks Buckner, who is the CEO of Allraise, kind of made this offhanded comment about, almost like the different personalities or the different versions of Paige that persist throughout her experience. So like she kind of honed in on the teacher persona that she had that continues to remain part of Paige. And of course she has like a founder persona, and now she has like this more investor-y focused persona. But the team organizing the event, specifically Cami Chaos, who will be the MC, and host really kind of honed in on not only where are they now, but like who are they now, and who have they been in the past, and which of those personalities persist, because especially for women in our society, they are forced to take on so many different roles in our community, in their life, in their family, that there are just some really interesting threads to tease out there. So those conversations will take place on March 11th. Instrument has agreed to host the event again, and as an organization that has tons of amazing women in their leadership structure, it seemed only appropriate that Instrument serves as host for that event. So I'm really looking forward to that. It'll be conversations with 10 women founders, a few surprises. And we will also be trying to do a few other nice things for people who are in attendance. But as we were reminded by the community, hey, look, some of us, because of these varying roles that we play in our families, in our lives, in our society, in our community, we might not be able to make it to an event. Like it just might not be in the cards. And so we will also live stream it. We will also record it. So while we would love to have you there in person, if you can't be because of other commitments, other priorities, we totally understand. We will work on live streaming it so that you can watch it live and hear those conversations. But even if you can't, we'll record it for you so you can watch it later. All taking place March 11th in honor of Women's History Month. And the last one we did, just so many great stories. I'm really looking forward to hearing from these founders and where they are and who they are now. And just some of these folks you won't know, some of these folks you may have heard of. Again, it's really just part of our work to ensure the community understands how many amazing people we have in our midst, and hopefully helping the community connect with one another in ways that can be supportive. So March 11th, where are they now? Women's History Month edition, hosted by Cami Chaos, sponsored by Prosper Portland. And thank you very much to Instrument for allowing us to use their space and their AV equipment to host this whole thing. So I look forward to seeing you there, or I hope you can tune in to the recording. So one of the things I've been tracking on, I mean, I don't know why. It's not even terribly interesting, but you've heard me talk about it before. There's this thing that's supposed to be like a cybercrime, cybersecurity kind of thing. It's called and I have to like think through it because it's so hard. The beneficial ownership information reporting. And it's really basically to say who really owns this business, who benefits. Is it cui bono? Who benefits?
Cui bono. Who benefits?
Cui gives a shit. It's got a friggin' bow on it.
Beneficial ownership information reporting has been this like hot potato back and forth. First, it was required and you had to get it done before the end of 2024. And then there were lawsuits and it was derailed. And then it was like, no, it's back on again. And then it was off again because of more lawsuits. And then it was on again. And then it was like, if you don't do this, you get penalties and fines and you're getting in trouble. And now suddenly, there's still a deadline, which is March 21st or something. There's a deadline before the end of March, but there are no penalties for missing that deadline or failing to report. So I don't want to misconstrue this. This is not legal advice. This is not accounting advice. This is not telling you how to deal with the federal government, because honestly, who the fuck knows how to deal with the federal government these days? But just saying, beneficial ownership information reporting is due, but there will be no penalties assessed should you not meet the deadline. I'll link up. It doesn't make sense to me either. Like, why is there a deadline if there's not a penalty? I don't know. I can't answer that, but it is completely fucking on par for our lives in the United States right now. So I think that's fair to say. But I will link up the link of the things, and you can read it and you can make your own decisions, or you can talk to your counsel, which I highly advise you to do. Talk to your accountant, which I highly advise you to do, about what you should do about your beneficial ownership information reporting. Just know that it's due before the end of March. But then again, is it? Is it really?
You sure about that? You sure about that? You sure about that?
Anyway, just wanted to highlight that because I've talked about it so many times. Beneficial ownership information reporting due before the end of March. I talked a little bit about, I talked a lot about Builtorian. It's just very near and dear to my heart. Like it is, and I tried to say this in my post about, like, the nice thing about this was, we got to release a press release, and the Oregonian was kind enough to cover it, and the Portland Business Journal was kind enough to cover it, and then Mitch wrote a really sweet, thoughtful letter and to the community, and then Catherine wrote about how much she appreciates this opportunity and how she's looking forward to this next version of Built. And then I was like, well, I want to write something. I'm a co-founder. I want to write something more than a LinkedIn post or a Blue Sky post. And so I did. I wrote a Silicon Florist post about it. But the crux of my commentary on Built is I've started a lot of things and I built a lot of things, and some of those things have had meaningful impact, but it is incredibly rare for me to have the opportunity to collaborate with others to build something that has the capacity of being handed off to somebody else to continue and to go forward with. And that's what was so just meaningful to me about the work with Built, is like, we not only did something that was making a perceived and palpable impact in the community at the time, but we somehow, I don't know how, we somehow managed to build something that has the potential to be so much more, and has the kind of foundational underpinnings to enable somebody else to take it and realize that potential, which is something I haven't done very many times. So that was really meaningful and special to me. So I kind of wrote about that in my post. But a very, very long way of saying it also took a lot of emotional energy to not only work on Built for 10 years, but to be in the role of an interim director, trying to shepherd an amazing organization, trying to take the handoff from Mitch Doherty, who had done such a phenomenal job of guiding and leading and organizing the community, to really be careful with it. Like, don't drop it, don't break it, like, just carry it through and find somebody else to do it. And we managed to do that. It wasn't me alone, but I had a lot of blocking and tackling going on, but I had the ball, and I had to make sure the ball kept moving in the right direction until we found somebody new, and we did in Catherine. But that was just taking a lot of headspace and emotional energy, and now, poof, that's gone. And so I now suddenly have new headspace. I have bandwidth, like my brain's starting to work in new and different ways again that aren't related to keeping Built on life support until we could find somebody else to run it. But all that way being said, it got me to thinking that one of the things that I continually get feedback on here and there with Specifically the YouTube channel and the podcast is maybe it would behoove me to take the experience I've had doing longer form interview podcast content and do some of that here to the benefit of the community. So, not changing this format completely. Like, I love getting to hang out with you every week. I love thinking back through the news that's happened and like try and give it like context, historical context or community context. Like, that's not going away. I love that. And I really like the every once in a while I hit upon something where if I've said this once, I've said it 1,000 times. I need to record that and make sure that that's available for people. I love that, and sometimes giving you a view behind the scenes when I'm freaking out or whatever. That's fun too. But I think now that I've kind of got this off the built stuff off my plate, I might have bandwidth to do some kind of longer form interview podcasty kind of stuff with people in Portland who you might find interesting, who might provide you with different insights in Portland, might provide you with different context for Portland, different connectivity in Portland. So I've been toying with the idea for a while, but now I want to make the request of you that if you have an opinion on that, please provide feedback on if that's something I should be doing, if that's something you would find valuable or interesting. Please let me know. I've got a poll going on the YouTube community post stuff for people to vote for that, about whether that's something you would like to see me include, if that's something that would be valuable to you. So just think about it a bit. And if you have an opinion, please let me know. Longer form, me, not really interview per se, but conversations, chopping it up with people from the Portland startup community, from Portland, from other startup communities, what have you. If that kind of stuff would be interesting to you, please let me know. Or more importantly, if you're like, nah, dude, don't do that. Like, that's important too. I'm a Libra. I can argue both sides. I'm like, that could be really good for these reasons, but that could be really stupid for these reasons. So I cannot make the decision for myself. I am indecisive, but I also see the benefits of both sides. So this is one where I'm going to you in a democratic way to get your feedback, because, we could all use a little more democracy right now. Just asking you what you think, and if that would be something that would be valuable, or if you're like, no, don't do that. Just keep to the news. That's all I need. I don't need any more out of you. Shut it. That's cool too. But just let me know. Longer form, interview, interesting people, kind of one-on-one conversational topics. Yeah. Happy to do it. Willing to do it. Anyway, I think it could potentially be an opportunity, and I would love to take the chance to explore it. It's been a while since I've done interview podcast format, and could be fun. Could be a thing I might enjoy as much as you, or I might enjoy more than you. But either way, let's just give me some feedback. Let me know if that'd be a thing that you would like to do. Cool. All right. That's it for this week. Hope you're holding up. Again, as I said, I got an awful lot off my plate this week. Totally felt like a win. I hope you're getting some wins. I hope you're enjoying what you're doing, whether it's building a company or working in a company or just like figuring out things and stuff. I hope you're doing well. And until we get the chance to chat again, please keep up the good work.